It's time for your program, our program, a program where we encourage the young ones to cultivate the habit of reading. You have a lot of time on your hands during this holiday. Why don't you pick a book and read? Welcome to Readers for Growth. I am Busola Faiga Kwelu, and I have with me Michelle Ogundele. How are you?
Fine.
David Haruna Abbas. Nice having you on the program. Daniela Lanre Babalola. How are you? And Joseph Haruna Abbas. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you.
Not forgetting Olamide Ajayi. You're welcome. Our guest on the program today is a very, very lovely woman, a lover of kids, a mother, a wife, a grandmother, and a seasoned accountant, Tokunbo Martins. Don't go, we'll be right back.
Who is Tokunbo Martins?
I am Tokunbo Martins. Tokunbo Martins is an accountant. Tokunbo Martins is what is called a supervisor. I supervise banks and what they call other financial institutions. But more importantly, and I guess what would be more relevant to you, Tokunbo Martins is a wife and a mother. I had children like you before, although they're grown. They're grown now, they're no more like you. I have 2 of them. I also have grandchildren. Those are more like you, but younger than you. So I think that sums up who Tokunbo Martins is. Tokunbo Martins is a woman that loves children. I love children a lot. I play with children a lot. Most of the stories that you children know, I know them. The nursery rhymes that you know, I know them as well. I love, telling stories and reading nursery rhymes with children.
Thank you.
Okay, Jojo.
What can you say about the poor standard of reading among children?
Oh, children really, really need to read more. What we have discovered these days is that children are always watching cartoons. Isn't that right? You love cartoons so much. Cartoons are good, but it's very important that children need to read. Because when children read, then they get to learn about what's happening in their country and in other parts of the world, and it makes them big, important people in future. Okay?
Do you study banking? If not, what did you study?
I studied many things. I started off studying economics, and then later I studied accountancy, and then later I studied information technology. So I studied many things, but most importantly, by experience, I have studied banking.
How best can we use the internet to help reading?
The good thing about the internet is that there's nothing that you're looking for that you can't find there. I'm sure you must have heard about Google. You know what Google is? Good. So when you're reading, maybe you're reading a subject, maybe mathematics or English or literature or history, and you want more information about that topic. All you need to do is to go to the internet and you use a search engine like Google, or there are many search engines. Google is just one of them, and then you just type in the topic you're looking for. Maybe you want to know more about an animal, for instance. and then you type in animal, and then it will give you a list of animals, all the animals in the world. So with that, you get so much more information. Maybe you want to know the fastest animal in the world, for instance, and you just go there, you type in fastest animal, and it will come up immediately. The cheetah is the fastest animal. So that's a good thing that the internet can do for you.
They say accountants don't like spending money. How true is that?
No, that's not correct. What accountants do is that, to start with, when you learn to be an accountant, you learn how to keep books in any organization, any enterprise that you'll work for in future. Maybe you'll work there as an employee, or you'll even have your own. It's important that you keep books. What did I spend money on, and what money came in for me? And then from those books, you know, did I make a profit? That means the money that came in from what I sold, is it more than what I spent? If you make a profit, that's a good thing. And then you know that that profit that you make, you can take some of it and maybe go on holiday or take care of your family when you have one. But not all the profits should go to that. Some of it goes back into the business so that the business grows bigger and bigger. So that's basically what an accountant does. It's not that an accountant doesn't like spending money, but an accountant is very, very careful in spending money. He keeps records of what comes in and what goes out, what is available for spending and what should go back into the business.
When you were growing up, which type of books did you enjoy reading?
Well, at different ages, I liked reading different books. As a very, very young child, I liked reading Bible stories. I read Bible stories a lot, and I saw so many amazing things that God could do for people that believed in Him. When I grew up a bit more, I liked reading fairy tales and stories about animals, the animal kingdom, and things like that. And then when I even got a bit older, I liked reading stories about people, real people now, not fairy tales, real people and the wonderful things that they had done. And in my mind, I would think that, oh, sometime in the future, I'd like to be like this person, or I'd like to be like that person. So whatever they had become in life, I'd like to read how they got there, so that I could copy such people and become like them.
What can banks do to promote reading culture?
Well, there's a lot that banks can do. In fact, right now they're doing a lot. Like, I work for the Central Bank of Nigeria, and we have what is called a financial literacy program. So what that is all about is that we want children like you to know about finances, about banking, and everything that you would need to have a successful business in future. So material that would be useful and understandable to children like you are written in such a way that you would find it attractive. And Central Bank is not doing it alone. Central Bank is doing it with other banks. It's written in ways that you'll find it attractive, like a storybook. So you'll read it and you'll not find it boring. You'll find it very, very interesting. And apart from that, banks and the Central Bank is working with the Ministry of Education and people that are in charge of your education to make sure that things that have to do with finances are put inside your the things you learn in school. So those are the various ways that banks get children to learn. Things that are important to you are put in attractive ways, such that you read it and you won't find it boring. Okay, Jojo.
It benefits to read. You grow higher when you read, and you gain wisdom when you read.
Readers who read to improve themselves, who read to educate themselves, and who read for success rule the world.
For you to grow and become a senator, you must learn how to read. Read to understand. Read as many books as you can.
Reading helps you develop yourself intellectually, academically, and otherwise.
The secret to being proficient in reading is to read every day and to read outside of your curriculum, to read novels and to read books of interest.
A well-read child is a cultured child, a successful citizen, and the future of our great country. And that's why all parents need to encourage their children to read.
Read today, lead tomorrow.
Okay, children, now I'm going to read you a story. And the story is from a book called My Storybook on Values for the African Child. And I'm going to read chapter 5. And the story in chapter 5 is called Humility. All Hail King Elephant. And it starts with a song. Maybe you might know the song. I don't know the tune of the song, but I'll just read the song. The song says, we're going to make the elephant king over both humans and animals. And the elephant with his beaded crown and the royal walking stick. All hail King Elephant, the king of all. And so the elephant was praised and led cunningly to his death, his untimely death. Now let's start the story. Once upon a time, there was a king who fell sick and was at the point of death. All the medicine men from neighboring towns and villages were gathered to get a cure for the king's illness. At last, the oracle spoke. An elephant was required for the sacrifice as a ransom for the soul of the king. The subjects decided to save the life of their beloved king. So an elephant had to be brought to the king's palace for the sacrifice. This was a big task. Who would bring the elephant from the forest and how? One day, Mr. Tortoise came up with an idea. He could do it since he was the wisest. He declared that he would carry out the impossible task, but on the condition that his reward be made known openly as well. The king's men promised to give the tortoise 50 bags of cowries. And so Mr. Tortoise went ahead at the risk of his own life. He went far and wide into the thick forest in search of an elephant. He knew that elephants enjoy a special kind of bean cake, which he had carefully prepared. He also got some drummers and praise singers to go with him to the forest. At last, an elephant was found, and Mr. Tortoise started singing his praises. The elephant was told about his importance as the king of all. Hence, the humans wanted to crown him as king in Mr. Tortoise's village. Mr. Tortoise brought out a sample of the delicious bean cake and presented it to King Elephant. The elephant tasted it and fell for the bait. He became pompous. Mountainous elephant, Even in the crouching position, Mr. Tortoise hailed him. As he got ready to follow Mr. Tortoise and his praise singers, the elephant said to himself, "Yes, indeed, I am the only animal fit to be the king of all." Gradually, they all moved towards the village as Mr. Tortoise continued hailing the elephant and proclaiming him to be the first animal to ever be king in the human kingdom. The elephant became quite swollen-headed. He walked majestically and proudly to the city of his supposed coronation. Little did he know that Mr. Tortoise was flattering him, only to land him in an untimely grave. The elephant finally got to the city amidst shouts of jubilation. He was led to the beautiful throne adorned with costly beads and ornaments. But underneath the red carpet on which the beaded throne was seated, there was a grave already dug for the elephant. Inside the big pit were dangerous weapons, cutlasses, broken bottles, daggers, and the like. The elephant walked majestically to the prepared throne, indeed as the king of all. As he sat down on the wooden throne, he fell down heavily inside the pit and became a ready victim for the sacrifice. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Always humble yourself and do not allow vainglory to lead you astray. That's the end of the story. Did you enjoy the story?
Yes.
Good, I can see that from your faces. I agree with you. So now I have some questions for you. Are you ready for the questions?
Yes.
Good. So what would you say you learned from this story? Does anyone want to answer the question?
You should not always be bold when the call for something is not good. And if a strange person call you, don't answer and you're still where you want to do, and then just continue what you are doing and don't stop offending you.
Very good, David. You shouldn't be bold for doing things that you don't even know anything about. And when strangers call on you, you shouldn't follow. Correct. Yes, Michelle?
We should always humble ourselves.
Very good. We should always humble ourselves. That's a very, very important lesson from the story.
You shouldn't allow strange people that you don't know take you away to another place.
Yes. You should never, ever, children, allow strange people that you don't know, no matter the wonderful stories that they might be telling you, to take you away to a strange place. That was what caused the elephant's fall. Any other lessons learned? Yes, Ola?
They were deliberate things inside the pit.
Pardon?
There were deliberate things inside the pit.
There were bad things inside the pit. Right? And that was what happened to the elephant because he allowed them to drag him away. Right? Yeah. So what you learn from that is that not everything that looks good is good. Not everything that glitters is gold. The elephant saw a beautiful throne and he walked there majestically. Let me go and sit on my throne. But alas, what was below the throne? Cutlasses, broken bottles that caused the death of the elephant.
And knives.
And knives, very good. Very, very good.
And axe.
An axe.
And
Wow.
broken bottles.
And broken bottles. The tortoise was really, really wicked. What do you think about the tortoise? Yes.
He was greedy.
He was greedy. Why do you think he was greedy?
Because I think he was greedy because he followed the tortoise when I think he was greedy because he just wanted to be king so that he can rule over the whole human kingdom.
Yes, but remember that they offered the tortoise cowries. So because of money, he did that wicked thing. He kills the elephant, didn't he? He was the one that went and lured the elephant because he was greedy. So you're right, Michelle. Yes, Jojo.
He killed the elephant so he will be the king of the jungle.
Yes, he lured the elephant so that the elephant would be the king. The tortoise didn't want to be the king. He deceived the elephant that he would be the king because they needed to sacrifice an elephant so that the king, the real king, would live. So this was a very, very wicked tortoise. Do you think the tortoise would be happy with himself? No? Should he be happy with himself?
No.
What he did? No. No. So, if you were the elephant, assume you were the elephant. Yeah, why not you? Assuming you were the elephant, what would you do before going with Mr. Tortoise?
I'll ask why. Why would I follow him?
You'd ask him why? Why would I follow you? Yes? Yes?
I'll ask him, where's the place that I should tell me what's going to happen in the place.
You'll ask more questions. Where is the place? What's going to happen there? Yes?
I'll ask whether they want to sacrifice me.
Well, that's a good question because you can never limit the wickedness of well, these are animals. You can never limit their wickedness, the wickedness of their thoughts. So yes, you could ask, are you going to sacrifice me, or why are you taking me away? Where are you taking me to? So I agree. Yes, Jojo?
I'll ask him, where is the place you're taking me before you go and sacrifice me?
Very good. You all have very, very good answers. Okay. Now, another question. How would you feel if you were to be the next king of your town or the head of state?
I'll be happy.
You'll be happy. So you want to be a king?
I'll be honest.
You'll be honest? Okay. What would you be honest about?
I'll be happy to be the governor.
You'll be happy to be the governor. Hey, look at kings and governors of the future. Yes, you?
I'll be happy and rule my kingdom wisely.
You'll be happy and you'd rule your kingdom wisely. Fantastic. And you?
I'll be joyful.
You'll be joyful. And I tell you, I will be happy for all of you. Kings and governors and heads of state of the future. And that's why you really, really need to read. So, you have learned the main lessons of this story. You've already said it yourself. Don't allow strangers to lure you away. No matter how much they try to make you swollen-headed by praising you. You're the best. You're the first. We'll give you this, we'll give you that. You must always ask why. And then you must be humble. It's very, very important to be humble. Remember the last thing we said? You must always humble yourself. Pride goes before destruction. None of us want to end up like the elephant, do we?
No.
When we want to become king, or when we become king, or head of state, or governor, it's going to be through reading. You will read so that you will do well in school, and you'll get promoted, and you'll go on from the schools you are right now to higher education, to get a good job, and through merit and integrity will become kings and governors and queens and head of state. Yes?
I don't fall like the elephant.
You're not going to fall like the elephant. That is not your portion. It will never happen to you. you, Michelle. And thank you, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. A well-read child is a cultured child, a successful citizen, and the future of our great country. And that's why all parents need to encourage their children to read.
Time to go, time to go. A big thank you to Tokunbo Martins for being part of the program this week. Thank you to Michelle. Thank you to David, Daniela, Joseph, Olamide. Thank you all for coming on to the program. My name is Busola Faiga Okpeolu. Read today, lead tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.